Hey everyone, Alex D here. Hope you're doing well. I thought I'd bring you guys an awesome news for today, like what's the daily tip. And we got really something that's been so huge. Like, what do most successful people do that allows them to be successful? Well, I'm going to share with you two major principles today, two of them. And they're actually going to be based on my own life story. So you guys can actually see these are something I've not only have I related to, but I've studied hundreds and hundreds of successful people. And what is it about these hundreds that makes them so successful that you can emulate? So whatever they're doing, you can emulate the same thing. So the first one that I got to tell you about is lesson number one. So we all experience like lots of different things in our lives that are pretty drastic, things that maybe we've gone through. Well, in 2011, I went through that myself. And at that time, we had basically had 2008, the market hit, it crashed, uh, um, everything was just down the hills, right? Almost everybody lost their jobs, their businesses were down. And at that time, we found a really cool model where we can be able to go and utilize and be able to raise funds and capital and be able to loan to companies that needed it because all the banks weren't loaning. It's a great opportunity, great thing. And what it was is our part was to raise the capital, and we partnered with someone that we thought was pretty reputable. Okay. And so we did our part. But then in 2011, lo and behold, found out that he was not the most integritous guy in the world. So at that time, we got hit huge. So we had the SEC come in. We had all kinds of things that we had to deal with, and it was a really traumatic experience in my life at the time because I went through a divorce, basically started all from scratch. Right now, at that point, the interesting thing part, and here's where the learning lesson comes in. I was sitting there with my attorney one day, and we're sitting there looking at it, and we're complying with everything because we had no idea what the heck was going on. So we're just like, hey, here's what we've done. We don't know what's going on here, but we're going to comply with everything because our intent, it was pure. Like we didn't have any reason to think otherwise. So our attorney basically comes back, and it was really interesting. While we're going through it, I was going through divorce and all these things that were basically happening. And he just gave me some words that was really interesting. And he said, you know what? There's two kinds of people that this happens to, and ones that go through the cave and they come out stronger, and ones that just go into a cave and they never come back out again. And it was a really interesting thing for him to say at that time because at that point I was probably at my lowest lows. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I had no idea half the stuff was going on, and I was just basically saying, okay, what am I going to do with my life at that point, right? So that was like a huge learning lesson. So what? So I actually use those words to basically say, okay, you know what? There's certain people that go into a cave that never come out, and certain people that get stronger. So the biggest lesson that I basically got out of that was just this. And if you guys can remember this, it'll be one of the major success principles that not only I've used, but so many others have as well. There's really no failures in life. So at that point, I started looking. I go, okay, what can I learn from this? Okay, so this is obviously horrific, it's tragic, and there's lots of stuff going on, but it happened for a reason. So what is my learning lesson from this? So one of the biggest learning lessons that I personally got was, to become a lot smarter when it comes to being able to do things. But here's the biggest part. I decided really the only way that I can be successful if I control my own fate, I don't start relying on everything else around me, on to raise the capital, let somebody else do the work, on doing something where it involves everybody else. It really had to come down to me because at the end of it, I'm 100% responsible for my success and not other people. So what did that mean for me? It means it wasn't up to my family, who at the time was helping support me. It wasn't up to my friends, my coworkers, not even my mentors or my coaches. It really wasn't up to anybody else except for me to be successful. So after that point, I just started learning. I learned all about investments. I learned all about businesses. And in a very short period of time, we were able to turn that back around to not only have our own company where we do real estate and done significantly well, but at the same time be able to build our own online business where we've helped over 30 people make six figures, and a handful already make seven figures in less than a year. So bottom line that I discovered is that you really can't rely on other people. The only way that I could get to the rules that I could, others can help, systems can support you, and it can make it easier, but overall it was up to me to do the work. So at that point, I got really smart. I focused more on making sure I was responsible and I was creating that success. And guys, if you study some of the most successful people in the world, it's pretty much the same. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they all essentially have taken responsibility for something within themselves. They said, look, it's not on the outside world. I might get some help, but it's up to me to create what my results. So take those basic 2 lessons. At this point, what's really great is that since that time in 2011, because I've focused on being able to build my own success, not making excuses, letting the past be the past, but learning from it, because you're not your past, you are your habits. That's huge. If you can just focus on that, you're going to do really great. And since that time, just in the last year, we've helped over 30 people make 6 figures. We've had several people make 7 figures. And if you guys just follow those 2 successful rules, just these 2 ones, what am I learning from everything in your life? Like, what is this meant to teach me? Instead of thinking of something that, and it might be super tragic, horrific, something where you lost money or you're not doing well or whatever it is, you're like, what am I supposed to learn from this? Okay. And the second part is making sure you say, okay, what can I do to control my own fate, my own destiny? Because sometimes we think it's a job, and maybe you get laid off from a job and downsize, or maybe you're working a business and you haven't had success yet, and you're thinking, well, you know, it's somebody else's fault. Well, at the end of it, look it back and say, what is it about, what can I do to be successful if it was up to me? And what are the lessons that I need to learn in order to be successful, okay? If you just apply those 2 steps, I promise you, you guys are going to have a super successful life. You'll be emulating what 200 to 300 successful people have done in the past. And I've heard over and over between podcasts and books that I've read and ones that we've actually shared. I wanted to share with you this personally because it's literally taken us from less than $500 to doing multiple 7 figures, both online and offline. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful, and if it was, share it, love it, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.